Good morning, everybody. It's game day. Exciting matchup versus Arkansas Razorbacks, trying to get that get back from 2021. They've had a bye week, so they've had 2 weeks to recover and plot on us. And then it's been fun. We'll talk about how everyone's feeling about the game. I've heard like kind of across the board. The only one that I heard that was hyper confident was Steven at Fanatic Perspective. But everyone else has had a little bit of trepidation, which I think is kind of interesting. So we'll talk about that for sure. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video, y'all. It helps us out. And then always, if you want the latest recruiting news, team news, insightful game analysis, go to InsideTexas.com. I'm Texas Homer here with Coach Jubb, Charlie Williams, and Landon Holyfield of the Lando Show. And then also we will have Nick coming on from Nino's Corner here shortly in a few. So I'm excited. Guys, kind of how you guys feeling about renewing the rivalry? I think were any of us old enough to actually understand the actual rivalry?
Well, I think that only because my uncle played for Arkansas and he won't shut up about it. He played for Lughos back in the day, so yeah, he won't be quiet about it. Other than that,
yeah, it's.
I read your piece on that, Coach. That was good little take back into history. That was cool.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Well, I think it's good, man. Like I hear a lot from the Texas side that like it's not a rivalry on our side, that kind of stuff. I felt that way about Texas Tech. I don't feel that way about Arkansas. Like. That sounds fun, man. Like, let's renew that rivalry, man. Let's have a pod with A&M, OU, and Arkansas. Like, of course, we're going to have to kind of build it back up. They're ready on their side. We're going to have to they're going to have to beat us a couple times to, like, really get it going. But, hey, man, let's renew it. Let's bring it back because that sounds fun. And they're a regional foe, so I think it'll all be pretty solid.
No doubt.
First, what are your first impressions? Let's start with their offense. What makes you nervous? What can we exploit? What are y'all thinking?
Where I kind of will be focused on today is just seeing. So when you just think about the guys that are going to carry the ball for Arkansas today, 6'6", 235, 6'1", 253, 6'2", 230, you're going to probably have to tackle those guys 40 times, cumulatively. So just our second level in particular, obviously the front line being physical, but then guys like, Benda, Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons, even from the second level at times, guys like that just flying downhill and being physical, man. It's like a lunch pail type of game, especially early, setting that tone, bringing that physicality, just like Georgia did to us when they came to Austin, and just sort of they established the phone booth level of football that I think Texas is going to have to carry if they want this game script to go the way that we all think that it's capable of going. But yeah, just matching the physicality, putting them into long third down situations, and letting our pass rushers go hunt, man.
Okay. Looking at it, I really, like I said, if we stop the run, we got a chance. When Arkansas is really good, they're really good, and they're bad, they're bad. I'm hoping to see more of the bad inconsistency, a lot of mistakes, turnovers, Taylor Green not playing his best. But when he gets in rhythm and he feels confident, man, he can be a dangerous guy. And he's not your normal quarterback who, he can scramble for a few yards. Like, he can really take it to the house from anywhere and make people miss. So it'd be interesting to see. And then they're going to take their one-on-one shots deep outside, right? Especially if they run the ball well. So I want to see how we defend that, how we defend Andrew Armstrong, man, on the outside, because he's definitely the number one target, right? So we can kind of keep them out of the end zone, even if they move the ball inside the 20s. Hold him to field goals, right? Or force Taylor Green to make a mistake in the red zone as he's done all season. I think we really got a chance to kind of put the game away early if we can do that.
Yeah. So what's interesting about Arkansas, right, is if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot almost every chance they got, they're a really, really good offense. They're already a really good offense, even with all the problems, right? You see that in the actual athletes. So Taylor Green, freaky athlete, right? If he doesn't make mistakes. Jaquindon Jackson, a really big back, athletic back. Armstrong, like you said, awesome number one wide receiver target. And then Luke Haas at the tight end spot. So as far as like their skill, like they're solid. It's the pass blocking that's going to be scary. And then Taylor Green's low lights, right? He's made me audibly laugh a couple times with dumb plays where I'm just like, what is going on? He'll turn around, try to evade the pocket, run into somebody, fumble it off his chest, like just do really strange stuff. So that's what's going to be kind of the key thing. What do you guys think of when you have such a dominant number one guy, but no one else is really kind of close to him in targets? What do you do in that situation?
You bracket him.
You just shut him down? Is that the only goal? Or
yeah, I wanted to also kind of touch on real quick. I'll let Coach take the second part of that question too. But I heard the discussion about is this the best quarterback Texas has played all year, and really people just sort of comparing Taylon Green to Diego Pavia. And you mentioned some of the low light plays that we see out of Taylon, and that to me is why the answer is I would say no, that this isn't the best quarterback that Texas has played. It's the most talented one. He's more talented than Diego Pavia, but what Diego Pavia does on he does the most important thing, which is take care of the football, right? He don't turn it over. And so that's kind of the difference there. But just as far as the number one receiver, or when you have such a disparity between the top target earner, like in this case Arkansas does, Coach, what are your thoughts there? Just as far as game planning to eliminate him from the football game.
So here's the thing: if you double team him, then you take an extra guy away from stopping the run, right? And that's their offense is all predicated on running the ball, so they can get those one-on-one shots. So if you can stop the run, then you can kind of have a safety over top, or you can kind of bracket him with the guy on the inside and mix it up. As long as you don't have any busted coverages or miscommunication, there's ways to disguise it. But they also got some speedsters on the other side. They may not throw the ball to him much, but they got some other guys that you put them one-on-one, they probably can beat you deep because they can run, and they're big too. So you just got to kind of mix and match when you go and double him. You play a lot of cloud coverage, you know what I'm saying, trap coverage on him. Thinks he's double, but he's really not in zone. So you just kind of mix it up on a guy like that and give Taylon Green, make sure he doesn't have like good looks, right? So that when he does pull the ball, he wants to throw the ball. He thinks he's double even though he's not, or he goes away from that read and tries to throw somewhere else. So you just got to mix it up.
Yeah, and they do a lot of crossing routes, right? Yeah. So they'll hit Armstrong on a lot of these like slow drags, that kind of stuff. So that'll be interesting too to see if he's getting the ball late. I think another interesting receiver, if he didn't have so many like functional issues, is Tyrone Broden at 6'7". So like if you watch his like spring ball catches and stuff like that, he makes insane catches, but he hasn't done it in game. I don't know if you guys saw my breakdown, but he's like,
do that. His drop rate's insane, man.
Yeah, dude,
it's crazy.
It's nuts. And so like I see whenever I was making the video, I was able to see in the spring, I'm like, oh, I see why he's a starter. But I don't know what is going on with him. The drop rate, the reception rate in general, just like the quarterback not even being able to get it to his hands for him to drop it. And so it's like it's a scary physical outside threat. And if he shows up, hey, there's a problem. But another one, inside receiver, Satania, that's their slot. He's supposed to be more of their speed guy. I think he was an SEC all-freshman a couple years ago or something, but he's not really killing guys right now. Isaac Tesla, interesting, right? 6'4", 217 in the slot. To me, that's like basically a functional tight end.
Yep.
And they target him downfield, so he's interesting and a little bit nerve-wracking. And then Luke
Coach Calipari's got his second platoon out there playing football.
They're a big team, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, because then you have their tight end Luke Haas at 6'3" right there. So big team. They can get you. Taylon Green, big athlete. I think, Lando, when you said stopping the run is going to be a big deal. Yeah, across the board, right?
Yep.
So if you're able to stop them on the inside, stop them from pulling too.
Especially in an environment like that, I touched on adrenaline. That's a huge factor, right? And it does work both ways. But this is obviously a team that wants to play ball control. Like they're going to try and run the football 50 times if they can, if you let them, right? And let their crowd get into it, possess the football. It just makes sense, right? That's a path to victory for them. Low hanging fruit wise, just even surface level analysis of this game and what they do, what their strengths are, just the dimension that the quarterback brings in the running game alone, man, is enough to just make you appreciate that factor. So, yeah, it's just lunch pail football today. And, Jelani McDonald, I think this is a game in which he really can shine, like where his skill set as far as tracking ball carriers, just see ball, track ball, go blow ball up from the second and third level, man. We're going to see that athleticism is going to be on full display today too. But him just matching the physicality and the will of the older guys who we've seen as incumbent starters and just kind of taking the bulk of the snaps prior to some injuries forcing Jelani onto the field. It's like, athlete for athlete, Texas can match up with anybody. So just making sure that they bring that same level of physicality, man, and set the tone. It's just another day at the office.
Yeah. Nick.
What up, man?
Welcome, dude.
Appreciate it, man. Sorry I'm late, man.
That's all good, man. We were just talking Taylor Green, their run game. Orlando thinks it's going to be, a slugfest, and we're just going to have to slow them down. They are, 32nd in the country in rushing attempts per game, so that all checks out. And they got the athletes. Is there anything particular on their offense that worries you? Here's my thing. We haven't faced, and correct me if I'm wrong, who's the best running quarterback? Pavia could run systematically, but he's not like he runs like a deer, So it's like
he's not dynamic.
Also like a special type of athlete running. Are you guys any questions about the quarterback run game at all?
I don't know, man. That kind of scares me, because he is very dynamic, man. He's long, he's lengthy, man. He's a big kid. What is he, 6'5"? What, like 6'4", 6'5", with 225 or something coached up?
Yeah, he might be close to 6'6".
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's that scares me. I like our athletes though against him, man. Look, I like Hill against him. I love who else, man? Gilbo's going to be big in this game. Benda, man, is so fast. I don't think people give Benda enough credit. His speed and just being able to just like blow up plays. I think he's going to get just a bunch of run today also, man. But if we can just stop, Green, man, I think that'd be huge. It should be hard. Their offensive line isn't as good as some of the lines that we face, especially their guards. So we'll see what happens, man. That's the only thing that scares me. Him, and then of course Jackson. Jackson, who should probably still be here, as a running back, but he didn't want to play running back here, so he goes to go play quarterback somewhere else, and then they go make him a running back, right? So. Yeah, he's a big, powerful guy too, man. What is he? 6'2", 6'3", about 230 as well. So
he turned his body into a running back. That's what's impressive too.
Yeah, man. That's what's kind of scary with that, man. It's just I won't say that we've been gashed by the run, because the game last week wasn't really a gashing by the run. We had a lot of backups playing when they got a bunch of their yards in. But I think our starters versus their starters match up very well. But we haven't played the run the best. Right. And so that's the only thing that kind of scares me. They, look, they got a great offense, but they always find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. And I'm just hoping that Texas just kind of takes advantage of that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you kind of are who you are, right?
Yeah.
You are, exactly.
And so that's kind of the whole thing for me, is why whatever trepidation I would have otherwise had for a team that does possess this level of skill position talent, it's just in my heart of hearts, I know that you don't just I don't even care if you're coming off a bye week, you've had 14 days to try and sure up some of the little right, the details that have crippled this team in the past, right? You don't just stop making those mistakes. At some point, it is who you are. Now, I'm also of the same camp that kind of thinks that the best teams, the most talented and well-coached teams, they're ever improving and evolving through as the season goes. But man, it's just it's a byproduct of a lack of attention to detail that manifests itself, and it starts way back in spring, and then throughout the summer, and then into fall camp. It's just those little things, like the attention to detail. It doesn't just disappear after what we've seen has occurred up until this point in the season. It doesn't just go away.
Yeah, and I agree. And my only thing is, I hope that it stays that way, because sometimes teams play Texans, all of a sudden all their
that is true, man.
Super Bowl, man.
Oh, man.
That's a good point.
Yeah, actually, man, Coach Doug, that's what gets me too, is Arkansas hates Texas. Like, the fan base hates them. I think the players hate them. Do we have that same level of hate? Are our kids going to go into there with that same level of hate? There's only 10 guys in the team that were there in 2021 when they thrashed us, right? So is there that same amount of want to go beat the crap out of Arkansas that Arkansas is going to want for us? And that's my only thing with this Texas team is, every week we're everybody's biggest game. How do we funnel that energy to make every week known that we are the biggest game on some of these guys' schedules, right? And so we just got to bottle up, just all that hatred in and just go out and win games. But man, look, man, Arkansas hates us. They just hate us, man.
So Nino, that's why I was talking about. I was kind of unsure on which direction I wanted to take my first preview, and I had some deliberation, I think, with Coach and with James and with LC behind the scenes after our earlier show this week. I think it was Wednesday Night Live. something like that.
Yeah.
And so it kind of played. I ended up going the direction of almost exactly what you just touched on, which is using that energy, that level of hatred from the fan base, right? That chemical reaction that happens inside the human body. That's called, norepinephrine, or that adrenaline release when you enter those hostile environments and you're put in those stressful situations, right? The teams that are talented and well prepared, they use that as fuel for themselves, regardless of whether the environment is hostile or friendly.
Right.
And so like your body can't tell the difference between a friendly fan or a foe, so if you're well prepared, you're feeling and feeding off of that energy, and your brain processes it the exact same way. So like regardless of whether it's Arkansas, whether it's Texas out there on the field, something good happens. Okay. Do you have the ability to flush it? Something bad happens, or still focus on the next play. Something bad happens. Do you have the ability to flush it? Right. So all that type of stuff matters, man. And just that brain chemistry. That's why I said, teams like Texas, yes, it's a hostile environment. Yes, Arkansas hates us. I understand people, wondering what type of energy will Texas show up to this game with, but this isn't the first time that this team, right, has been battle tested, and we don't have to just look through this season. Like you can broaden the lens a little bit and go back to just last year. What was it? 44 members of this current roster traveled to Tuscaloosa and handed Nick Saban the largest home defeat of his career at Alabama. Same thing, national champions that week too. We know what Michigan is now, but we didn't then. We still went in there and we handled business.
Right. Psychologically, you have to play Michigan like it's Michigan.
Exactly. It is Michigan. Yeah.
And I think it helps. We have a ton of leadership and veteran guys on the team too. Like before, we had a lot of young guys playing. Like these older guys, the environment doesn't get to them for the most part anyway, right? I'm here to show up and do my job pretty much. In Texas, for the most part, especially on defense, has had a business-like mindset. I'm coming to dominate, stomp on you, and take your candy too, right? So I
take your cookies.
Up front, every level, we got a ton of veterans, man, a ton of leadership. That's not going to let the environment get to them. They've probably been preaching. They're going to preach during the game to the young guys. Hey, one play at a time. Forget the crowd. Focus on our job there, each snap. And I think that's going to really help our guys execute today.
Yeah, man. Hey, and also, man, just to kind of piggyback on that, we've seen this every year here with Sark, right? Is that older guys step up, guys that we were like, when are you going to step up? It's year 3 and you haven't stepped up. Sweat, right? Sweat comes out and has this monster year last year. Look, Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton this year, right? Like we've been wondering, when are these 5-star guys going to become 5-star talent, right? Everybody knows when it comes to the defensive line, right, that it usually takes guys a couple years to kind of, just kind of mature. And now we're seeing Alfred Collins and Broughton be two of the top, linemen here in the conference, so these guys should get drafted pretty high. I think Collins might even slip up to be a top 50, top 60 pick in the draft this year, just off measurables and what he's done so far this year. So it's like every year we always have this conversation, right? Like who's going to step up? And Sark has been doing a great job of getting these guys ready, having them come in their 3rd or 4th year and be plus players here.
Absolutely.
I see the comment over here from Alex Roten. If we can, I would like to get him to elaborate on exactly what he means there. But my initial reaction, if I'm processing what he's saying correctly, norepinephrine is not. You don't evolve into that. That's a primitive human reaction. This is in human DNA from human inception. So,
there's people think like there's not a different pathway for excitement or nervousness.
Exactly.
It's the same hormone. It's the same thing occurring.
Yeah.
So it's only your perception of the situation and what's different. Yep. But adrenaline's adrenaline.
Which is why I preface. It's exactly right, Homer. Which is why I preface that with well prepared. You don't rise to the level of the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation.
Exactly. So, that's the military mantra.
I was going to say, Nick knows about having the training in the military. That's what we say
all the time. You never rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. That is it. I mean, nobody becomes He-Man overnight. Amen. You start to do what you're used to doing, right? When stuff gets tough in that bunker, you don't become He-Man. You fall back to what's comfortable.
Talk to him, Nito. Come on.
I'm just telling you, man. You're talking about a guy that's been in Afghanistan twice and Iraq once, right? You don't become He-Man and Superman. You fall back to what's comfortable because that's
what cracks me up. The fans that talk about players as gamers. That's like it's like he practices horribly, but somehow he turns it on in the game. It's like, all right.
There's only a few people who are those kind of people, and that is so the exception and not the rule, and that's in life, in general. I got friends that played on the teams in like 05, and they'll tell you Vince was not a practice guy. Like, he was not awesome in practice, but he was awesome when the lights came on, right? But that's so the exception, not the rule. So don't compare everybody to Vince.
Vince could do it in practice.
He could. And then also you got to look at Texas's scout teams back then were a lot different than the scout teams we had from 2013 to 2020, right? So you had scout team guys that are in the league, crushing it, right? So different levels, man. There are levels to this stuff, right? So
I think Alex's point, he's expanding. Survival instinct is greater than the winning instinct, but what he's backing that up with is we are the better team, but their hatred is greater. So I think he's saying that if we're both having an adrenalized response, one is about like trying to get a bowl game and one's not. I mean, maybe. I mean, we're gonna have to take that to the lab and do a lot of psychological testing.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, just the point that adrenaline's adrenaline, energy is energy. You're being adrenalized for a reason. It's fight or flight. So you can look at it as something to get nervous about, or you can look at it as your body's giving you the energy that is going to be required to do whatever task that is causing that.
Yeah, Richard Walker, and it's Nino, not Nico.
Nico.
If you ain't airborne, you ain't it. I see you, Rich, man. That's what's up. Hey, man. Also looking at Arkansas' schedule, I know people want to look at, man, what are they, 5-4? Their losses aren't like that bad. I mean, they haven't like been getting blown out. Besides the Ole Miss game, the Ole Miss was saying it was an anomaly, right? But Oklahoma State, which has turned out to be a fried team, 39-31, right? We get that. Texas A&M, great defense, 21-17. Right? I mean, there was a close game, right? And Texas A&M only has one loss this year? They got one loss this year, right? Or two?
In conference. In conference.
Oh, in conference,
yeah, that's right, because they got Notre Dame. Yeah, that's right.
Notre Dame and South Carolina.
Yep. They beat Tennessee. All right, and we can say we want to about Nico, whatever. They beat Tennessee at home. Night game, though. LSU put pause on them 34-10. They go to Mississippi State and put pause on them 58-25. And then Ole Miss just crushes them. Right?
Did y'all watch that game? It's brutal, man. Their secondary quit. Like, quit. Like, it was bad, man.
Like a video game.
It was
one of these.
Like, going deep every time.
Coach, come on, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They were cooked. It was bad, man. Watching that game,
they were cooked.
I don't know how you don't quit, because you're just like, what are we? Right. We're not prepared for this, coach. Like, they're killing us. All right, before we keep going, real quick, y'all, I want to hear a word from our sponsor, the one and only Luxe Kitchen and Bath.
This video is brought to you by Luxe Kitchen and Bath. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook, and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring to life that dream vision of your special home. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team provides full remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today. Or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get a free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE. Or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Link in the description.
Oh no, Landon was kidnapped. That's such a shame.
Them hogs got him.
He was a good guy.
Hey, one thing you were talking about, I know you mentioned that this defensive coordinator kind of games plan by game. I'm starting to see a lot of younger DCs start to do that. Yeah. I'm so curious, does the bye week give them a refresher like it's done for a lot of teams? Like, because a lot of teams kind of struggled. They were up and down, like even Ole Miss. Then they had a bye week. Now they've come back on fire. Like, I wonder what changes with Arkansas after having the bye week. Did the refresher help? Did they get healthier? Did they refocus? I don't know. Self-scouting does wonders for a lot of teams, man, and you can fix some issues.
I mean, you'd have to after the Ole Miss game. And Sam Pittman said that everyone's secondary on the job, our secondary job was open.
Oh, boy.
But also the funny part is when everyone's job's open, it's like, bro, if you had better talent, you would have played them. So that's just like a trick, you know? It's like, what, you got 5 freshmen that are elite NFL first rounders that you weren't playing?
Yeah,
You know? So
exactly.
that's kind of a coaching trick, but you definitely had to reevaluate. And it's going to be their coordinator, like we said. I think we're going to see the 3-2-6, the 3 safety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
And it's going to force us to run. Oh, Lando's tuck shirts.
Loud and proud, baby. Loud and proud.
Yep. And so that's going to be interesting. I think they're going to go 3-2-6, but I do like the new wave of young defensive coordinators or younger coordinators like Florida as well. Like creating these very unique game plans. Now, sometimes you get it wrong, right? And you're just going to get absolutely slaughtered. And you're going to have to check back into your base. But and I don't know how you practice to become great at something when you're changing that much. But to me, it's like if it's MMA, like the modern MMA fighter can do everything, right? They can grapple, they can wrestle, they can strike. The old defensive coordinator seems like they were just a really good wrestler or a really good striker. So I like this kind of like modern defense where everyone's multiple. They're playing multiple fronts. They can go into nickel. They can blitz. They can simulate. We're seeing like this new style of like really in-depth coordinating. But like I said, I don't know if you end up being a jack of all trades at that point.
Yeah. Another interesting thing too, right? I actually think you were the one that mentioned it first, Homer. The first bye week that Arkansas had, they came back and still got that was before the LSU game, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Dude, bye weeks are like
weird. It's tricky. They're not.
We talk about them in media, but I don't know how much they actually matter, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, and also I don't know if they're always a positive because I've seen teams come. There's something about staying in the fight too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like that's something we talk about in the media, like, oh, it's a bye week. The only thing I think is valid for the bye week is they did have an extra week to scheme. I think
And to get healthy. And to get healthy. That's probably it. Just to get healthy, man.
And in this particular case too, for Arkansas, like I know that it's super beneficial for them because they had key players that were banged up coming out of that last fight. So there's obviously time and place as far as getting healthy goes. Yes, that absolutely matters, and especially when it's to the key contributors of their offense, like Jaquindon Jackson was banged up, Braylon was banged up, and Talon, he left the game for a couple drives, more than it was like a half quarter stretch where he was out and then he came back in and returned. So
he had that knee issue.
Important.
Getting Jaquindon back is really a big deal. Braylon Russell, that big back, I think he's dealing with a hamstring.
Dude, he's something else. He's like 6'1", 250.
Dude, I'm scouting backs every week.
And he's quick. And he's quick. Yeah. He got moves, man. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, he can run. Yeah. Like we've said it, but every week, dude, I'm looking at backs. I'm like, hey, do you want to maybe? And I'm looking at their eligibility. I'm going that far. I'm looking at backs and being like, if they're a sophomore, let's get them. Man.
Russell's
a freshman, right? Russell's a freshman.
They have some
Jaden Ball. We're gonna see him on Sundays, and he's gonna be a household name. At some
dude,
point.
The patience for that young of a back.
My goodness,
we're talking about the Florida back, if y'all are wondering. But really, really patient runner. So there's every week I'm kind of looking at running backs. It's getting pretty funny. Defensively,
Arky.
Yeah, not a great defense. Like
their pass defense, Lord have mercy.
The pass defense is really horrific.
We're gonna
118th in the country in yards per pass, 119th in passing success rate, mid-tier, a little bit below average in explosivity. So, and I don't know, man. Ole Miss was able to go explosive. This is something too that I don't always see with Sark that I like about Lane Kiffin. Like they were giving looks to Lane that like say you shouldn't pass, and Lane was like, I don't care.
Yeah,
Lane's an assassin,
yeet balls, just yeeting balls down the field.
Yeah, and like Sark doesn't really do that. Clearly, quarterbacks are very much coached to take advantage of what happens, and I get it why you do that. It's the logical thing to do. But sometimes, man, I don't care if you're in 3 high. You can be in 9 high. If I get past you, I get past you. It's like
which is crazy, man. That's why I think this is going to be a game that Gunnar Helm eats. I think he's gonna eat this game. You know what I'm saying? And this is gonna be one of those. I mean, man, look, I love some Gunnar Helm, man. I love Gunnar, man. This might be the game that might get Gunnar the Mackey Award.
Talk about it.
Hey, anytime Gunnar gets the ball or gets a touchdown throughout his whole career, I'm like the most happiest person because JT had his shine, right? And so Gunnar was that extra guy that was just the all-around tight end that doesn't get the love. And I think people are seeing just how special of an athlete he is.
Yeah.
And seeing him ball out, I think this might be like a Gunnar Helm game because Sark is going to take advantage of what's given to him and he's not going to force it. And if it's there for Gunnar to get it, he's going to get it to Gunnar. I can see Gunnar having a huge game today. Huge game.
I think the league's going to see him as a more well-rounded prospect than JT, don't you think, Nino? As at the tight end position?
Yeah, because he can block very well too. He's just more physically sound, I think.
Yeah.
JT's just a freak, though. I mean, the stuff he was doing in high school and even in college, man, the one-handed catches in high school and just being an athlete that could have probably been drafted as a defensive end as well if he would have stuck there for. Yeah, JT's different. He's just different, but Gunnar is more complete now. But JT didn't have the opportunity to be a tight end his whole career. That's meaning, it's the upside of JT is what has people kind of foaming at the mouth because he's only really played tight end for 3 years, right? So, So, hey, man, I like Gunnar though. I'm all here. If like Gunnar has 10 catches for 200, man, I'm like, dude, I'll be jumping over the wall, man.
I remember at Cherry Creek. I mean, you just watch this huddle. For 3 years, I was like, he's a downfield threat.
Yeah.
Why are we never using him downfield?
Yeah.
And they're like, we're using him as an H-back. It's like, dude, he's 6'7". Like, he needs to be like, dude, a good H-back to me is like 6'4", 6'5". Like, you need a little bit of leverage. Like, he's very long, and lanky and stuff too. So it's like, man, get him downfield. And I'm glad now that they're doing it. But you can see, him doing backflips and that kind of stuff too when he was younger. That's 6'7", dude, is crazy. When we did the interview with him for Inside Texas, smart kid, so it's like all the kind of intangibles are there. The tangibles are absolutely there. And then once again, Sark kind of changing his offense, right? When it was Bijan, it was that. And now he's more kind of Gunnar focused versus a Worthy focus the year before that. So Sark kind of able to change who he wants to target to.
Yeah.
And I think for Quinn, it's really helpful, right? To have a big body close to you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Gunnar Helm is special. I have to see where who are other tight ends that would really push him right now? Do y'all know?
I don't know, man. I haven't, I'm just so Texas focused right now.
Colston
out at Michigan.
Loveland,
yeah.
Situation's been so poor.
Penn State tight end gets his name, but they got him a Wildcat quarterback. Sometimes like he's getting a ton of touches.
Yeah. Is Ole Miss's? They've got a big body H-back type of player that he's a problem in the passing game.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
he's a big kid too. He's a big kid. He's like 260, 270 kind of kid, right? You know what I'm saying? Almost kind of fat, but not fat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They split him out wide. Like
he's good though. He's good.
Formation and then split him out. So he's just like he's one-on-one with the linebacker, and they literally ask him to just go win, and they throw him the football. It's kind of impressive, man. At his size, he's a problem.
I need to see it so we don't have like the Brock Bowers looming where it's like a given,
Yeah.
I want to see
what's that kid's name?
Really bad third down defense.
Kid,
Yeah, his name is Daquan Wright. He's 6'4", 255.
That's it.
Yeah, big kid, man. Big.
They have him listed as a tight end?
Yeah. They got him listed as a tight end, but he's different. They got him like playing H-back. They got him, like out wide. They got him in the slot. They got him everywhere, man. He's
doing everything.
Yeah, 6'4", 255. So, so honestly, he's probably really about 6'3", 260. Yeah, that goes, man.
Well, actually, we'll do a sponsorship first, and then we'll get into this because I've heard this kind of common sentiment this week. There's a little bit of trepidation. People are a little worried about a potential upset. We'll talk about if we feel similarly or not. But first, let's hear a word from Laura Baker.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
All right.
LC.
Yeah, thank you, LC. All right. I got Texas 31-24, but I'm definitely worried. So I'll lead off. If they regress, I guess not even regress, progress to the mean, right, and don't turn it over 3 times and do dumb stuff, then I think it's a threat.
Yeah.
But do you guys think the residual fear is just from 2021? Where do you think that's coming from? Because I've heard that kind of across the fan base that they're a little bit nervous about this game.
Yeah, it's PTSD.
Yes.
I mean, that's it. That's the only explanation. But for me, and I understand where that comes from, but when you're totally honest about the team that walked into Fayetteville 3 years ago versus this team now, and I don't mean talent, I mean the way that the roster is constructed physically up front on both sides of the football in the trenches, it could not be more stark of a difference.
Wasn't that a 9-win Arkansas team or something like that too? That was a pretty good. I don't know if it was 9, but
I have to go back and look. But yeah,
let's see. I'll pull it up. Nick, what do you
know? That was a Texas team that only featured 9 scholarship offensive linemen at the time, to the point to where they couldn't.
Oh, dude, yeah, dude. They killed us in the trenches because we had no trenches.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were 9-4 that year.
9-4, yeah.
It's a good team.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad team, man. I think Texas fans are a little scared because some Texas fans, even though we're doing well, it's almost like they don't want to believe it because we've been scoring so long, right? So Charlie Strong years, in the MAC years, Charlie Strong years, Tom Herman years, and it's just like, this feels really good. Should I really be feeling this way? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where some of the Texas fans are coming into this, where, when I was in school, I don't want to sound like the old guy, but when I was in school, it was just like, man, we only got 10 wins. Come on, man, what's going on here, right? So it's and
I went to school during Charlie Strong, so it's the complete opposite here.
So it's like the scorned Texas fan that doesn't want to, but no, they understand they got a good team, but I don't think we really understand how good of a team we have, and they don't want to get their hopes up so high because they've been burned so much. So this is a completely different Texas team than what Texas had when they went into Arkansas in 2021. Like Lando said, 9 scholarship offensive linemen that probably 7 or 8 of them probably wouldn't be on this roster today if Sark had his choice, right? When Sark first, so when Sark got this job, right, I had this huge special on just offensive line. Texas recruited the least amount of offensive linemen in the entire Big 12, tied with Kansas in the 5 years previous to Steve Sarkisian coming in. We were getting our butts whooped up front, right? We were just getting whooped, right? And so when Texas fans see we get these big recruiting classes and we're top 5, no, we were like a Ferrari with Walmart tires on it.
Yeah,
we had all the skill positions. We had the Brennan Eagles, and we had Bijan, and we had Rojo, and we had all these great guys, right? 5-star talent everywhere except the offensive line, and we were getting tore up. And we were able to beat some people because we just have more talent. However, we didn't have the talent where it needed to be. Sarge completely transferred it, this man, getting that huge line with Kelvin Banks and all, was it 7 guys that year, backdooring that with another 5. And, man, it's really become a strength of our team. So I think Texas goes in there, and they should have handled business, man. But Texas fans, we have a great team. Calm down, relax. We have a really good team. Trust it. Trust the process.
Coach, what do you think?
I'll never forget that project that you did. That was one of my favorite pieces of work that any YouTube content producer has ever produced.
Oh man, appreciate it, man.
You really
Yeah,
helped.
it was horrifying.
Yeah. But it was horrifying, but it also gave so much context to everything that had transpired, right? And you sit back and think about it. 18 scholarship offensive linemen tied for last in the Big 12 with Kansas over a 5-year stretch. That's just simply not enough. So, like, you do the math, right? And it checked out to like, what, 2.2 scholarship offensive linemen or something crazy per cycle. The teams like the Georgias, the Alabamas, and even the OUs of the world at the time, because, like, I saw your project and I wanted to dive further into it. It's like you were the inspiration. And so I did my own deep dive as a little sub-segment off of it. And I was like, so OU, Arkansas, Georgia, all these perennial powers in the college football landscape, they are doubling.
Yeah, they're getting 26 plus.
Yeah,
26 plus
every year. So it's as opposed to Texas bringing in 2.2 per cycle or whatever the math is. Those schools are bringing in 4 on every single cycle. So it's just, they're throwing more bodies, or they're getting more bigger bodies into their program, and
they're bringing more and more talented bodies.
And more talented. And out of those 18, I think only 12 stayed with Texas.
Yeah.
That was the issue.
That was, we had guys retire from injury. We had guys transfer. We had guys quit. I mean, that was like, wow. That was eye-opening for me, man. It was like
crazy.
Yeah, thank you, Sark. Thank you, Sark, for bringing, for building this lineup.
Coach Flood too, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say this. I see some similarities. Maybe people got a little PTSD. Taylor Green, he's way more athletic than KJ Jefferson, but people worried about him. It looks like a similar team, right? 2 big running backs, but they had Rocket Sanders and the other guy that night. Yeah. Arkansas got 2 big running backs now who can run at you. Going into this season, nobody thought Arkansas defense was really that good, right? Yeah. And we thought, Texas Sark is going to scheme them up because Arkansas wasn't good up front. They had Bumper Pool, their best linebacker, and then they had Catalan, but everybody else was not.
I forgot about Bumper Pool, yeah.
Bumper Pool, man.
Like, you didn't think Arkansas was that good. And then they came out and were able to run the ball and take the clock away from Texas and Sark. And it's like, and for some reason, they played great defense that day. And then one key factor is they don't have Barry Odom either, right? Who's familiar with Sark because he faced him while he was at Alabama. Yeah. Like, he kind of knew Sark's tendencies, right? And so he was able to kind of coach up some of that talent. They went 9-4 that year, but they're missing a lot of key factors that night that Arkansas team had versus this one. It may look similar, but they're not the exact same team. And we're not playing at night. We're playing early in the morning. Looking at it, it didn't like that many students were in the stands. They may fill up later, but I'm not as worried. I don't have PTSD. This team is constructed different, like Lando said. Texas is, and from top to bottom, we have way more veteran leadership. We have a veteran quarterback. We didn't know who the guy was, right? We bouncing between Hudson Card and then Casey ended up coming in, right? Yeah. And so
you want to know
we'll be okay.
It's interesting too that so one, Sark was not good at the 3 high safety defense at that point. He hadn't figured it out, right?
Yeah,
got better at it as you had to face it 9 times a week in the Big 12. But also, what's interesting, when I was talking to a source before that game, they I said source, dude. Eric's not the only one with sources here, all right? But anyway, whenever I was talking to somebody before the game, Arkansas, they played Rice that week before, and they played purely a 4-down defense. And they didn't go 3 high.
Right.
And so in my head, I was like, they're really trying to be dumb enough. They really think they're going to like trick us into thinking they're going to play 4 down and that they've abandoned their signature. That they've abandoned their signature defense. We didn't prep that well for the 3 safety defense. We kind of took them at their word on the Rice game that they were like a 4-down team now. And that caused, of course, some issues.
Yeah.
So that game was just kind of a cluster F kind of all around. Schematically, we got killed in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that game was bad, dude. But like we said, that was 4 years ago. It's not the same thing. And Pittman right now, guys, like, the Arkansas fan base, you take a bad loss to Texas. I mean, they could be like, hey, because they're some days they want to fire, some days they don't. So
the straw that breaks the camel's back there.
But I also think too, right, that incentivizes Pittman.
Yep.
Because you could be potentially coaching for a job here too. So there's some motivations here that are like unique. But
there's still an 8-win season on the line for them.
Yeah. And then can they get 8? What are they at now? I have no idea.
They're at 5 now. They're at 5 now.
Yeah, they're at 5. Yeah,
they have. I think they have one of the, it's a non-power 4 opponent in between us and
they got La Tech. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
La Tech will get them
Louisiana
bowl eligible then, right?
Yeah. So I kind of to that point, Homer, I'm glad you brought up the flyover defense, right? I wanted to touch on that just for a second and maybe get some thoughts from you guys. I was kind of sleeping on it a little bit last night, thinking about what I expected them to do. And if you guys didn't see Ian and Paul's breakdown, they kind of both agree that they expect to see Arkansas come out with the flyover defense, which essentially, just think about it, 3 down front, 3 high safety look. That's a look that invites the run, right? And all this talk about Arkansas secondary, we know what the coaching staff has been saying on their own behalf as far as, hey, every job is open. One of the worst passing defenses in the country, right? And Texas, one of the more efficient passing offenses. But would anybody be surprised if right now, so like we looked last week, I think we had 30 carries total against Florida. Would anybody be surprised if Texas accumulated 40 to 40, somewhere in the 40 to 45 rushing attempts range today, just based solely off of, all right, Arkansas is just going to say, hey, let's force Texas to do something that they haven't really done all year right now, and see if they're willing, see if they're up for it, right? Would you guys be surprised to see that approach at all? Just like a coming out party on the ground? I wouldn't.
No, because Sark will power run against that. Like whenever we saw it versus Kansas State, Sark takes what you give him. And so, and Quinn we've seen Quinn will check it down without any hesitations.
Right.
So, if you're presenting pre-snap, a don't throw look, which frustrates me because you need to verify post-snap. But it's I could see it being a running game. I don't have any problem with it. Now, if you're Arkansas, that's what you're going to do because that's our least effective relative offensive ability. But it would and
running in general is less efficient than throwing. But yeah.
So it's like I wouldn't be surprised by it. And if they do go 3 high, then it is going to turn into a lot of like pulling guards and stuff like that. That's what we've shown. But also here's the thing, right? Like with the 3 high, they're going to take away the middle of the field. That's okay. I mean, like name the last time Quinn threw a post. Like he throws seams sometimes, but like we don't throw the post ever. And so, but there's not multiple guys on the outside. The corners are always the corners. That's why like Ole Miss can exploit that and throw fades because there's still no one there. I don't care if you're 3 high or whatever. If you can beat the corner, you throw outside of that defense. But also, we're not a fade ball team either. We're not accurate there. We don't throw them that well. I don't think our receivers have the reps for them in practice as well. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think it'll end up kind of check downy, hit your shot when you can. Vertical ascension, like diagonal crossers, where you're gaining as you cross. That's the way that you can start to separate the second and third levels better there. But it would be interesting. I'd be frustrated if it turns into a running game because it's just not as fun. But yeah, absolutely, because we generally respect the looks that are given to us.
Hey, Homer, you mentioned something about the post snap. I'm seeing a lot of teams now. Everybody can execute it. They're showing 4 or 5 at the line of scrimmage, but then they still go to a 3 high shell and give you a double 3 cloud or Tampa 2. So if you can't read it, that hey, it's still a 3 high look, but they're just showing 5 at the line or 4 at the line. It's not your traditional. That's what gives people problems and issues. So really, they're trying to say, hey, we're going to take away the run, but really we're still playing pass. If we can just identify and maybe and Quinn Reed is like, hey, everybody's still bailing, drop 8. And I still can run the ball. No matter what the front is. That'll be key, right? Don't get confused because we saw Wyoming kind of do it. Was it last year? They gave you 4 down look, but they were playing a lot of 3 high safety look too. So you really got to be able to read post snap, and that's really going to help us. Or you can stay have them run the ball if you got 4 or 5 up there anyway, and see what happens.
It sucks to play quarterback right now.
It does. I was just about to say that these Sam pressures are nuts, man. It's like it's that pendulum has swung so far this way.
Well, we did the spread to the defense, right? Totally demolished defenses for like 8 years. And then they started to figure out it's all about disguise, simulating pressures, changing coverages. So the defense is now like back in control. And the next iteration, I think, ends up being it's like you watch the NFL. I'm not a big NFL fan. I only watch the NFL purely for the schematics to kind of see like what the cutting edge is.
Trends.
And man, the stuff they do, man, it's I don't know what quarterbacks kind of had such a basic like thing in the past of like middle field open or middle field close. Like, am I throwing the post or the fade? And that's like been totally kind of demolished. And so like I get mad at quarterbacks and offenses now, but like we're seeing globally it's an issue, like in the league and here it's like offenses are struggling with this. Quarterbacks don't look as good. The defense is in the lead right now. And of course the next evolution will be, I think we end up going back to the run. I think it ends up going back to 12 personnel and we're heavy running. And then they're going to start. Here's the thing now. They have skinny bodies that play pass defense well. We need to start going 12 personnel. Now that's going to start another 8-year cycle.
That's exactly right.
They're going to start recruiting bigger bodies. And by the time they become saturated with bigger bodies and run stoppers, now we go back to the pass. And so it's like it's just this kind of looping.
Ebbs and flows.
Yeah, time is a flat circle, like our alumni Matthew McConaughey says. So that's kind of the interesting part. But I don't know how you like. I don't have an answer to beat these disguises. You know, like I get frustrated with Quinn, but I'm like, what is the answer there?
What is the answer?
Yeah, you know, it's like if they're showing one thing and flipping it and all that, I think the answer is like right now you're seeing it, which is like check down because he's in front of the whole defense.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say like another potential pivot, I guess, is, you know, do you just add, like you said, do you overcommit and just bring in more gaps, which brings in more gap responsibility, and you just go heavier and heavier and heavier, like 2 and 3 tight ends and 2 and 3 running backs on the field at the same time, and just say, hey, how many gaps can you defend with all these muck looks and sim pressures? I don't know. I mean,
and skinny bodies.
Yeah. So if you want to play 3-2-6, good luck to you against 7 offensive linemen. You know,
exactly. And Sark's known to go 12 a lot, man. He does 12. It's his second most used. All right, so let me see. If I'm tracking my numbers right here for the year, he's used 12 personnel 235 times and 11 295 times. All right, and so you know he's right there. You know, like with 12, and you know him having Gunnar Helm and also Juan Davis. You know, Juan's a very, very, very complete guy too as well, man. So yeah, he just likes to load up on you. He's going to run the ball. I see Sark getting up to like a 14-point lead today. You know, kind of early, and then saying, Jaden, you're kind of peaking right now. Run. You know what I'm saying? Jarek, I've been having you carry this ball around campus all week. Show me that you've learned something, right? Carry the rock, right? You know, Trey, do you? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, honestly, I can see Sark going up, you know, like 10 to 14 points and then just saying, let me cruise on out of here with a quick like 37-17 win or something like that, man. So we'll see.
Dude, there's something about 30 something to 17 is the respectful way to say you're going to blow someone out.
Yep.
Yeah. I always see this suggests everyone will end up like 34-17, which is like trying to respect the opponent enough, but you're not going to be close. But pay attention to how often you see 17 as a number in that context. It's always interesting.
Hey, this is a respectful way to blow somebody out.
Yeah. It's a gentleman's blowout.
Yeah. Like Florida last week.
Hook them from the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. That sounds fun.
Oh, man.
31-24, Tejas. Yeah, I'm excited to see this. Is there any part of you that wants a closer game? Not like, and I said this earlier in the week. Fans exactly. Fans don't like it, and I would say maybe versus Kentucky because they don't want it versus Arkansas because there's a rivalry component. But just like I want to see us get in the mix a little bit. Like I want to see us gut one out. And like I feel like I want to see that from the team.
Yeah. They kind of had to do that against Vandy, but like you said, I mean, none of us really ever felt like that game was out of reach. It was just like
you're up like 17.
Yeah.
I think they're out of that one, so I get it.
Yeah, you know, Vandy, they had like a bunch of, you know, I call them like the empty calorie yards and points at the end, right? And so
we were never worried that they were going to be.
I never felt threatened.
Yeah, so it's like I kind of want like one, maybe Kentucky, right? Fans don't want to do it versus Arkansas, but it's like, man, I want to be a little bit more tested before Kyle Field, before the playoff, for the championship.
Yeah,
you know.
But we're thinking the same way.
When you were coaching, is that how it was, Coach? Did you want to see that more often?
You want to be battle tested, right? Because you can always go back and rely on it and speak to it, right? Like, hey, look, remember this game, show film from this game. You remember the feeling, the emotion of going back and forth and battling. Like, yeah, you want your team battle tested because when you go to the playoffs, like Texas is headed, you want to say, hey, we've been in these tough moments before. It's not too big. Like, look at the 05 team. They went to Ohio State. Mentally, like, look, this Rose Bowl isn't that big. We went to Ohio State and won, right? And so you want this team to kind of have that, be battle tested. And this game prepares you for A&M because it's going to be a ruckus crowd, even though it's at night. I do want this kind of game a slugfest, right? Because you're on the road. It's supposed to be a rivalry. So you want it to feel like that too, right? Emotionally, you feel like that as a fan watching it. But then on the flip side, you don't because like it's close. Arkansas has the talent or enough talent to maybe squeak one out. And I don't want that. So
that's my scary part, Coach. That's my scary part, man. You know, because like the 05 team, they had Ohio State, but they also had who was it? Okie State. Okie State. That game.
Oh, yeah, they came back.
Yeah, when they came back.
When was Kansas? When was that close Kansas game? Was that the year before the Michigan year, or when was?
That was 04. That was 04 year. But my only thing with that is I don't know if I want to get in that situation because do we have anybody that can do what Vince did? Yeah, you know, like Vince. I think people forget how special Vince Young was. It's just, you know, it's hard to replicate that in college football. I think the closest thing we've seen in college football is probably Cam Newton in that 1 year, you know, where he just put a team in his back and said, hey, we're going to go win this thing. Right. And even that wasn't Vince. Right. So it's just hard to replicate that. So I don't want to get in close games like that. I want to blow everybody out.
That's honestly don't
be scared, Nino. Don't be scared.
That's crazy. You're talking about Quince Young like that. That's crazy. So this is a good point, Ryan Nelson. We are playing teams back-to-back weeks who are pretty much coming off a bye. Arkansas and Kentucky, who plays Murray State this week. So I also think Kentucky had a bye before Murray State too.
So they got 2 weeks.
So I think they've had by the time they play us, it's basically 3 weeks of prep. And now here's the crazy part, right? What's A&M went on a bye. Yeah. They play FCS and they play Auburn. A&M's had a month.
They had a month too.
A&M's gonna have a month to play. Like, you know, A&M has been working Texas stuff.
Don't sleep on Auburn. Can miss around and beat A&M. Auburn's like, you know, like Arkansas. They just getting away.
If they don't destroy themselves.
If they don't do a pick six or a kip six against you know, like OU, you know, it's a whole different game, right? Like Arkansas and Auburn are very similar in the fact that they kind of beat themselves. But you know, just to kind of throw this in there too. I mean, Texas, I'm not gonna say we had a bye week last week. We played well, and like we didn't have to go out and go full throttle last week either. You know, I'm pretty surprised by that too. Like we kind of handled business early. You know, we had a third string quarterback that, you know, was playing, and so we didn't have to expend a lot of energy and resources to get that lead up to where it's at. It was 35-0 at halftime, right? So Florida brand, big brand, huge brand, but wasn't really a test for us last week because they were missing so many pieces too as well. So should be a good game this week, man. I'm excited about it.
According to everyone else, Texas' whole season has been a bye week.
I was, you know,
look at my comment that I just posted. I just said that. I better hear Danny Cannell talking about how we just went 7 weeks in a row through the team of a bye.
Yeah,
that's crazy, man.
Damn, Danny Cannell.
Freaking crazy.
Oh man,
I get it. It's been fun dealing with all that. But I think it is important, right? It hasn't been the hardest schedule. We can verify that. But if Texas goes and beats A&M and then wins the conference, then that argument goes because now you have top 25 wins.
Yep, you got.
So that problem, it's self-correcting. We have the opportunity at the end of the season to answer that.
Texas got a Georgia schedule. Texas got a Georgia schedule from the past 10 years in their first year in the SEC.
That's so crazy. No one talks about like if you wanted to win, all you had to do in the East was beat. You know, but it went from the SEC as a gauntlet that Texas can never survive week to week to like
now Texas didn't play anybody in the SEC. So what is it, right? So
pick one.
That's how it goes, man. If we have to gut out a win versus Arkansas, we aren't the playoff team we believe we are.
I'm not saying I can't say that.
Yeah, but also, man, it's just like week in and week out, man. Like Arkansas is not good in the win column, and if they're a better team than their record if they don't constantly destroy their chances to win.
Yeah,
like in Arkansas, like
a little bit,
because this is an Arkansas team. Like, let's look at their over 43rd in yards per rush. That's not bad at all.
Not bad.
And they're 15th in the country in yards per pass. This is a really good offense. The problem is They're 100th. They're last in the nation for fumbles per game.
Yeah,
they fumble all the time. So it's like if they can just destroy that, but I don't think Arkansas is not as bad as we think they are if we just look at their records. But I still think it's a Texas win.
Yeah, I do too.
We ain't got VY. He's a truly generational quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Game.
Yeah. Vance Bedford, the man. Good to see you, Coach. Texas season is
BB.
Yeah. Texas season is similar to Michigan last year. Michigan played no one until their last 3 games. Yep.
Yeah.
Coach Bedford, man, that's what's up.
Good to see you, Coach. Glad you're watching. All right. Everyone go enjoy the game. It's game time now.
Yeah, let's get it.
Everyone doing our hand wraps. We're doing our hand wraps.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, y'all. Hopefully it's a good game, exciting game. And then I will see you post-game as well with Paul, Drew, and possibly Ian. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the game.